Ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. On the run today is having great honor to receive His Excellency State Minister of Ministry of the Cabinet, Mr. Usman Wash. Assalamu alaikum. You are more welcome here in the Shuruk channel on the Run program. How are you?
Good evening.
Yeah.
To your viewers in Sudan and abroad, and also to Shروq and Ustaz Ikhlas for having me.
Okay, so I'm having this to discuss the issue of American sanctions lifting, okay? And I want to analyze the two phases of lifting sanctions. The partial one that on January, it started by lifting the partial economic sanctions, and it has its impact, the positive one, on the economic status and even on the flow of the currency. So I want you to analyze, the benefits of partial one in January.
First of all, let me again thank you for having me, and to introduce an issue which is very important to the Sudanese community.
Yeah.
These sanctions have been on the Sudanese community for over 20 years, that is 2 decades ago, and it will be harmful to its economy and to its incorporation and integration to the international economy and the global economy. That is very difficult for Sudan or for any nation to overcome. Sudan had engaged with the Obama administration for some time ago. It is not only in January this year, but this takes a lot of time because we have been in a sort of negotiation within the context of CBA, that is the peace agreement that dealt to secession of South Sudan. And at that time, it was a complete agreement that whenever this process had been solved enough, the international community, America, and led by the Troika, also will be happy to lift the sanctions and also to cooperate with the Sudan for development and also for lifting of the sanctions. But later on, this didn't happen. But again, Sudan engaged, especially with the leadership of Minister Gandour, Ministry of Foreign Affairs, had engaged with their counterparts in the U.S. Department, engaged in a lot of discussion and for prolonged sessions about the talk and issues to be dealt with. That is the 5 issues dealt with, and were able by the end of the Obama administration to reach a conclusion that Sudan has able to succeed in carrying out the duties and the agreements well enough. So they have the initial recommendation from the Obama administration that sanctions should be lifted on that date, but it's given a time because it is a living office. So they have given the Trump administration the 6 months to evaluate for itself and to proceed on these issues. So I would like to say that this process was been gone for years ago. It is from 2005 when the CP was already agreed upon. This process had been dealt with, and it's already concluded that Sudan has no side to do with terrorism or any of the issues that been dealt with.
Okay, so between the phase one of the partial lifting and that, July 12 before coming, there is 5 tracks.
Yeah.
Sudan should done a lot of efforts into the 5 tracks concerning South Sudan and concerning, the peace settlement in the 2 areas and landlord resistance army, and humanitarian staff and the other rest too. And you see how Sudan is exerting efforts in such part.
Yeah, it is very important to note that Sudan has been very successful in the issue of terrorism, but that is one of the issues that faced by the world all over. And Sudan was been one of the Islamic nations that has been very, very dedicated to this issue, and because of it is the thought of Islam and how to preach it in Sudan is completely very diversified to the extent that enable the interaction between Sufis and Salafis and others, and most recent Islamic groups, so Islamic movement. So this makes Sudan unique in the issue of this Islamic thought. So what been also very cooperative with the international community, especially the Americans, on the issue of terrorism and how to combat it internally and outside. So Sudan was been one of the most effective nations on this issue. Concerning South Sudan, we already know that South Sudan is a neighboring country. It is been part of Sudan before, and also Sudan engaged with IGAD and others to solve this problem, and its effect was going on for a long time. We received Salva Kiir, the president of South Sudan, for many times, and there is agreement agreed upon on the issue of border, issue of cessation of hostilities, and issue of not supporting rival groups from those sides. We've shown a greater effort in this issue that is very clear. Everybody and the international community, especially the IGAD and the Troika, will be in there to see what's going on. Concerning the roadmap of the cessation of hostilities, concerning the two areas, and therefore Sudan was the first to sign the roadmap by the set by the higher panel of the African OHEB. So it is very clear that Sudan was ready to go on that, and also Sudan agreed on the American initiative on issue of humanitarian relief and how to support all these things. And Sudan was not only supporting the relief in the two areas, but also opened 3 corridors for South Sudan and receiving refugees from the other side. So Sudan was being supportive in the areas and the issues, and that is very clear. So the Obama administration and the American administration throughout was convinced that Sudan effort was being respected, respecting its commitments, and done the best they can on this issue. But on the issue of resistant army, we know everybody that Sudan was not border with Uganda, and there is no any presence of such guerrilla movements in Sudan. So they convinced all over on these issues.
Yeah, and okay, and people were excited, and and expected a lot. To come into July 12th, and the people, they are, optimistic as far as I could, receive a lot of people of guests here in my program and analyze into optimistic views that sanctions will be lifted totally on July 12th. Unfortunately, coming the delay, people they drop down. And the decision on July 12th, justification of Trump's, that is his admin is not that set up well, and more effort should be exerted into the humanitarian field and religious freedoms and some stuff like that. And you see these reasons, the setup of admin and other issues that concerning Trump himself, like with Russia and his own stuff in America. You see it. Are they like reasonable logic or such justifications?
The world is very tough place, but we in Sudan, because of the work done by our diplomacy and all the administration, Sudanese administration committed to this issue. Also, we have a popular support on this issue, and we are ready to really to go on for celebrating the issue of lifting of the sanctions. We are ready for that, but it is unfortunate that happened, that they were not delayed that issue for other 3 months. We hope that the next 3 months, next October, that will be the final date, and we are ready to celebrate again for this issue. But still, things are not clear. From our side in the Sudan, it is already we have done our job and it is very clear. Everybody is evident. Even the American administration were confident enough that Sudan has done its side on this issue. But things are not gone well because maybe for other reasons also maybe. But already we have a problem we have seen a lot of chaos in the the Trump administration. Maybe likely the issues of incomplete staffing of the administration, especially concerning Africa and Horn of Africa and these issues, because we used to have a special envoy for America on the issues of Sudan and South Sudan. That is not there anymore. So maybe that is one of the issues. Maybe other issues like the administration is being also committed with other issues like Russia and Obamacare in South America. But also there is a resistance anyway from other groups also, lobby groups also looping against the lifting of sanctions. We heard
Congress.
that, Congress people, there is over 35 MPs are already signed a letter against Sudan on this issue, or not at least to lifting or delaying for more year, something like that. And also other groups, looping groups like Enough and others also been actively working on this issue. But we don't expect that is the main also. But it is altogether makes because he is already in need of this congressman to support him in issues likely on issue of Obamacare and other things. So it is different issues conflicting together to make that delay, and we hope that it is not an issue on the issue that is being dealt with. That I mean the agreement gone on between Sudan and the American administration. So we are hopeful again for the next phase also to be good, and we're going to celebrate.
And you see, Excellency, you know, after this delay, more assignment are required from us as Sudan. You know, we stop cooperation with North Korea. More efforts should be exerted into the humanitarian access, you know, to AIDS, right? And human rights, more working. And some international and regional organizations have claimed that Sudan has no religious freedom, okay, as to the extent that they say it in their own prediction, okay?
Yeah.
You see how far it is right, and because we have like a prominent example, the visit of Archbishop of Canterbury. It's like strong evidence that we have such religious freedom. You comment on this, please.
Yeah, we say that still our relations with the international community, so America will be going on, and there will be a lot to be discussed in the future. But this is not part of the agreement we are going with, because we already know the issue of human rights or any other issue of the relation with North Korea or others. It is completely different sector of issue. So it is very wise from the president that to overlift the committee that is working with Gandur for the issues of the five track issues. Yes. So what we mean that we are still engaged with the international community to see our work within the issue of human rights and other things. But it is very clear that Sudan was far in the front of many nations in the issue of human rights. I think, yes, we have difficulties in many cases because we have a war in different sectors of Sudan. We have problems in South Kordofan, Blue Nile, and also in Darfur. So this makes a lot of difficulties in how to deal with these issues. And also the reportings have not been confident enough, or in many cases it was biased against the government of Sudan, or Sudan itself is not hampering the access of the free media to come in to report on these issues. So we tackle the issue maybe in a way or another more in not good shape, but still we know that the human rights in Sudan is progressing well. That is because, and the reports of the international report, especially the inspector himself was reported on this issue. So we are going good in that issues. And concerning the religious freedoms, you know, Sudan was being, from the ancient, it is been a Christian kingdoms, in the, especially on the bank, the Nile bank. We have historically we have three Christian kingdoms. That is Maqarra, Alawa, and Nabatia, all together are before the Islam in Sudan. And right now we know families containing Muslim brother, Christian brother in the same family, and still they are living together, not only in South Sudan but in Jibal al-Nuba, even in Durman, in the center of Sudan, Blue Nile, and other places. So the evidence of religious freedom is very clear, because we are already almost every sect of Christianity is here, the Coptics is here, the Anglicans is here, the Catholics is here. Every of these sectors is here. Within also the presence of the different sects of Muslims also together. So it is very clear and it is very evident, not only right now, but historically, Sudan's tradition is embedding a lot of Christian signals from the very first time of it. So it is very clear that Sudan was being very tolerable to the issue of religions, because in the same family we have the same different religions, three religions in same family, which we have seen, especially in Jibal al-Nuba, that is Nuba Mountains. I mean, we have Muslim, Christian, and non-religious together in the same household. So it is very clear that Sudan is tolerating this issue.
Even His Grace, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Justin Walby, he assured that, Sudan has great religious coexistence and tolerance around. Even the inauguration of, Anglican Church here, it's like a prominent example. And he addressed his own people here to have more, coexistent religious one into their Muslim brothers. And he praised that Sudan, has a very prominent example that for having Christian and Muslims living together. And also he mentions that Britain is supporting lifting American sanctions.
We hope that Britain to be on that side also, but because Great Britain is one of the 8 great nations in the world, and also very effective in the international politics. Great Britain is also one of the colonials of Sudan, so they know the best of Sudan and know what's running on in Sudan better than any of the other European nations. So their support to the issue of lifting of the sanctions will be good. And also we know that the Archbishop of the Canterbury is very prominent person and very effective in in Great Britain for its effect on the masses and also on the sightseeing of the politics of Great Britain. So we hope that will be effective and directing also the policies of the government there to support the other nations, especially we already know Germany and other many European nations are already supportive for the Sudan and asking for lifting of these sanctions. So if Great Britain joined that masses, that will be great for Sudan.
Okay. Also, he mentioned in his speech in South Kordofan, when he visited the campus of displaced and refugees people. Okay, he mentions very important point that even the government and the local people faced pressure, to have such a mass of individuals from the displaced and refugees, but people are pleased to welcome their brothers, even more pressure on them.
Yeah,
and,
it is
and
exactly.
really, and he dedicated our efforts.
That is part of
in this area.
Sudanese tradition,
Yes.
to be hosting their neighbors and hosting to their guests also. We already have a long history in receiving people from eastern side of Sudan, so we know that from Ethiopia, Eritrea, and others are coming in every day. Also from West Africa, we've been a really mixing pot for every traditions in Africa and cultures, because we have been a route to the pilgrimage of most of the West African nations, and still South Sudan is it is only in less than a decade ago is part of Sudan, so it is very it is not it is very acceptable that Sudan also hosting their neighbors from South Sudan and giving them relief for what is happening in South Sudan. So this is very clear and imminent. Still, we know that these sanctions have been affecting the Sudanese people more than to the government. So even though still they joyfully receive their neighbors from South Sudan, from Ethiopia, from also West Africa, all over. So we are very hosting company. We are already hosting also Syrians from Asia and so on. So it is really one of the very hostile nations in the world, I think, and we hope that to go on that direction, even though there is hardship in Sudan also.
Okay, so if I can have like last point, okay?
Yeah.
Expectations for October. And as Your Excellency, you are ex-Minister of International Cooperation, and Sudan signed agreement with, international organization, right?
Yeah,
to be a member.
Yeah.
Hopefully, with this to be
Yes,
accomplished.
this signal of supporting of the international community to the application of Sudan to join the WTO was very clear. I was in Geneva at that time when we received on the sessions about the Sudan application for WTO. Every of the nations that were been, it is 36 nations and representative of European Union. So there is a lot of international communities. They all received cheerfully the application of Sudan to be part of the international community, the International Trade Organization. Even America was supportive to that. That enables the process is going on. So hopefully we are going to celebrate to join this World Trade Organization likely by the end of this year. So from that point, the signal is very clear that everybody in the international community greeting that Sudan was a stabilizer to the region and been working supportively to the stabilization, not only in Africa, but also in the neighboring Arab countries also. So we have been, the role of Sudan was being carefully tested, and it is well known that they have done a lot in issues that concerning the world, if we say about terrorism, if we say about the illegal immigration, human trafficking, all this, Sudan has exerted a lot of effort in this issue, and even those lacked resources were being used for that issue. So we hope that we are celebrated with our people in next October about the lifting of the sanctions to go forward for building the nation or the world itself.
So you are optimistic toward October. Even important point that Trump's policy, it's like a pumpy, okay? And unlike any steady, even with his own, admin and people into the White House.
Yeah, it is not. There is no clear evidence that we are taking that. We are not taking that for granted. Yes. And we expect that a lot can happen. But still, what we know that we are already part of the international community, and everybody, not only in Europe or in America, but we are supporting the peace and stability in our region, that is enough for us, because we are already cooperating with our African nations. We are supporting the mediation between Egypt and Ethiopia. We are already supporting the legal leadership in Yemen, and we are also working with the others, the Libyan neighboring countries, to make peace in Libya. We have done a lot, and we are happy with that one. We hope that that sanction to be lifted, and still we live with our with our successes in our region and beyond.
Okay, so finally, I do thank you, Your Excellency, here for having you in On the Run. Okay, and we are pleased in such comprehensive, even it is not that long, okay, analysis for the expectation, all the stuff concerning American sanctions. I do appreciate it. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Shuruk, for having me.
Okay, and thank you, viewers. And till next time from On the Run, I wish you all the best and have a nice time.